with happening in their lives and not quite recovered from the pandemic. So we find ourselves more and more in smaller size meetings, which is okay. And I think Leeds is moving ahead. Edinburgh, I'm surprised that Mary Catherine isn't here. She's kind of the I think part of our glue for the UK group, and she's from Edinburgh. And as I mentioned, we have some centers like in Oxford, and also working with the Dalai Lama Center there. So we just keep plugging ahead, and we'll show you some of the things that we've been involved in a few minutes. Jaco, this looks like a Dutch name to me.
It's actually Rack, but everybody calls me Jaco.
Okay.
I'm from Chile. I'm in Spain right now, but yeah, I met here Shane O'Connor.
Right.
So I got to Charter for Compassion by him, and then I'm here just to hear about what you're doing, and I want to take this to Chile. I love community, I love compassion, so I wanted to do something there, but I'm not doing like anything right now. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we've been writing, so I invited him to come here.
Okay, great. Thank you, Merida. And do you want to introduce yourself? We have kind of an international crowd here. Yes,
we do today, which is always very welcome and nice. So I'm Merida McCarthy. I grew up I'm British by birth, so I have a lot of feeling for the UK chat. Feel very connected whenever anybody talks about it. And I grew up in Spain, in Africa, and now I live in Mexico. And I'm program coordinator for the Charter for Compassion. So any questions that I can help you out with, anything I can help you out with, here I am, especially involved in sectors and cities. So.
Right. And so there was mention of Shane O'Connor, who is on our staff. And Shane lives in Spain, but he's from Ireland. And so we have kind of we do have someone on our staff from Chile. And so we'll have to make a connection with you, with her, Natalia Zurita. So what's happening with the charter? A whole lot right now. We're in a very condensed period of time. We're putting together a new website, which will be launched at the end of this month. And so it's forced us to do some really intense house cleaning, or I guess in the world of organizations, we might call it a reorg to a certain extent. We had a big strategic planning session for our board, our staff, our coordinators around the world. And it was over a 4-day period of time. We produced a really, I think, exciting strategic plan. And part of that was also this kind of reorganization of our efforts. And one of the reasons that we're in a condensed period of time is that at the beginning of the month of June, there was a launch in the United States of something called Compassionate USA, and it was introduced to the US Council of Mayors for them to, as a gift from one of our compassionate cities and from ourselves. And it was presented by Mayor Ron Nienberg from San Antonio, Texas. And it is a free program. And as we launch our website, everyone will be able to take advantage of the program. The San Antonio community, along with one of the local colleges, Alamo, created a course that's free, but also 6 videos to deal with 6 issues. Among those issues is kind of understanding systems and how to work with systems, to look at self-compassion, and also to look at trauma. And so the course and all of the work is based on the 6 principles that come out of Compassionate USA. And we're offering it as a model so that other countries might consider doing something very similar. And we have sign-ons from Australia, because we have a pretty strong Australian team of people and who have been going about this for a few years. And we had sign off from Canada, and we have Canadians for Compassion, and also from Mexico, specifically the Monterrey, Nuevo León, the state of Nuevo León. So we're looking forward to others beginning to look at that material and to see how it might fit within strengthening an existing compassion initiative, or in helping to start an initiative. We're now with initiatives in 54 countries, if that helps begin to understand, the kind of the reach of the charter. We have membership in over 190 countries. And one of the other things that we have is strong partnerships, but they've not been so strong because we have continued to grow. And if we were in business, we would say we need a serious succession plan, which we don't have. We have a very small staff, a very small budget, and that does slow us down. And I think one of the biggest errors that we have made over the last couple of years is we've not really found a way to involve our partners, like you, Andy, for example, so that I look at Sangha House, and I know that on the last Saturday of every month, we offer with Plum Village a Sangha session. And, we need to get you involved in that, and others who are involved in similar practices. It's a wonderful time for us on Saturday. So it's for people in Europe and Africa. It's the end of the day. And for us in the Americas, it's the beginning of the day. And so it's wonderful. And Orla O'Sullivan, another great Irish person, who's the education director at Plum Village, is the leader of the sessions. But there's no reason why, with more concentrated effort with our partners, that we couldn't spread that, the meditation part of it, the wellness part. We follow Thich Nhat Hanh's way of doing a Sangha by not only having meditation, but some insight into practice, some conversation, some direct action. And it's 90 minutes. And so what we're trying to do is to increase more small conversations, so that people can really center in on creating community, be it local community, or in the case of a US chat, knowing more people from a regional area, and to have these chats in local languages, so that, especially for right now, Spanish. I would say if we look at where we are in the world and where most of the action is happening is in Australia, India, and more so in Canada, and also in Mexico, and now also in the United States. So, I don't know if anyone has any questions, because one of the things that I can do is share a little bit of our new website, and I think it will generate some conversation among us. But if there's any questions right now that we could.
I think first of all, Marilyn, absolutely, I'd love to get involved with that Saturday Sangha with Plum Village.
Right.
So definitely, yeah. And
You sometimes need a bit of help as well. So if you
sometimes Orla herself, like last month, she was not, we had to find someone to do the Sangha because she was at the UN for the dedication of the new Thich Nhat Hanh Center. So occasionally we need some extra help. but
And
they,
We
I'd be
need
more than
someone for
happy to.
July, so you're welcome
Yeah.
to help us if you want.
I'd be more than happy to. My other hat is I'm a radio presenter, and I present 5 nights a week the meditation show on our local radio station. And each of those is a led talk and meditation. So I've got loads of potential episodes that I could just run through with the Sangha. So
oh, great.
Okay.
I'd be more
Well,
than
I'll
happy.
contact you, Andy, and
Yeah,
maybe
definitely.
we can come to. And I put the actual link to the Sangha in the chat here on the Zoom.
Great.
So
Okay.
anybody on this call can register.
You know, I was also remembering a really strong component, and usually they're here at the chat, are the folks from Nottingham. But especially Sue Cooper. I don't know, Andy, do you know Sue?
I think I've met her.
Okay,
Yeah, I
Sue,
think on
Sue
these.
runs this incredible program on meditation in Nottingham, but also through a local monastery. I'm not sure it's so local and might be a bit of a distance from Nottingham, but I think she would be another person that it would be great for you to meet with. Her organization is Moms, Moments of Mindfulness.
Okay.
And she has recently become co-director of another group that participated in January. We run something called 40 Days of Peace in January, and every single day we have something, and it's becoming more and more popular as, you know, because of Sue recently, and every day there is a meditation, but also because it's 40 days of peace, it's leading up to the whole involvement of the peace movement with Martin Luther King. And so it's also, we have a lot of participation around historical moments and action moments, and also commemorating some of the people who really were close to Martin Luther King and in his life. And we have some incredible recordings of people who just worked with him and were a part of some dynamics that happen not only locally in the US, but across the world. And we have, again, a lot of participation from India in it because of King's nonviolent approach to life.
So I'm just curious, Marilyn, what do you do in the conversations? So you mentioned small group conversations.
Well, it's good that you brought, this is a good place for me maybe to share the new part of the new website, because one of the things that the website will center on is who we are, what we do, and how to engage, and what's new. So here's what we do, part of the Promote Conversations. Is that we have these different approaches to conversations. I mean, certainly, and I don't even have down here our regular geographic chats, but we have different sorts of groups, so that for example, Human Bridges was once called Crossing Borders, and people still know it as Crossing Borders. And this is a youth effort, and it is it's a 3-session presentation, 90 minutes for the 3 sessions, but it's an opportunity for people who aren't used to working and coming in circles to begin the process of experiencing it, so that it is, and you're all invited, because starting in September, we're going to have 2 sessions a month. And it's an opportunity where there is a motivator with Human Bridges, and the motivator is well done. It might be a 5-minute segment from a video, and then it's a group of young people who respond to what they just heard. And then there's only 12 people in a group for each of our sessions, and then you break down into threes. And you discuss basically what you saw as the motivator, what you heard from the reaction from the young people. So that's one process of conversation, in hopes that it would lead to people choosing any one of these other conversation experiences. Life Purpose Group is for people just to come and talk. Like we're doing here and sharing, but like really concentrating, what is it that they, what do they want to do with their life? In some cases, it might be that, you know, they're just beginning a career and want a mentor. In other cases, it might be that they want to take what might be a passion and they've never done anything with it. The other one that we do, and we've done it recently, recently we had a group in September and then December, open space technology combined with youth collaborating for compassion. I'm not sure if any of you have experienced open space. Basically, it's like an invitation to come and to share, and you build the agenda right there with people who have come to the session. So in September, for example, we had over 250 youth from 5 countries, and they were invited to come in and present topics, and people then choose which of those topics they want to explore. And let me share with you that with those over 250 youth, the topics were intense. And one was on trauma. There were 12 that they generated. One was on fear. And I'm speaking to those two because over 100 and Merida, someone's trying to come in, if you could. Oh, here, I was able to do it. That over 175 people chose trauma, and over 40 chose fear. And so you generate conversations. If you feel that in open space technology that this is not meeting your needs, you can leave and go to another group. And it works wonderfully in person, obviously, but it worked really well online as well. The kitchen table chats are, we have them in healthcare, as I mentioned, and it's really interesting. People who are involved in healthcare, from doctors, researchers, any medical care, come and just talk and share. We've been doing it for a year, and it's a wonderful experience. We've talked about the Sangha. And then the circle of trust. Now, this is a different approach to being together in community. It follows the work of Parker Palmer. If anyone knows of his work, we've actually been doing this with our board and part of our staff. We meet about every 5 or 6 weeks. And it's very much based on the Quaker model, although there's a lot of writing around circles of trust. But you come, again, no agenda, and people just share and build community. And as I said, we've been doing it over a year with our board. It's a wonderful, wonderful process. So that's what we mean by small group conversations. And so I'll just stop. Yeah, just stop sharing there and see if there are any other questions.
I think Bupak, who just came in, might be able to introduce herself. Are you all right for that?
Yeah.
Hi there. I'm in Scotland right now. I'm in a town called Forres, heading to Findhorn, where I live.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What else do you want me to say?
I don't know
Glad
what,
to be here.
thank you for coming. We have a lot of people from Pinhorn who drop in occasionally. Marilyn Hamilton, who's with Integral Cities, and then our friends from the Thomas Hubble group also. So welcome. Yeah. So we're
Thank
just
you.
kind of checking in with one another and sharing some of the work right now of the charter. One of the things that I should mention, only because it's taking up a tremendous amount of our time, is that the charter is one of the co-sponsors of the Parliament of World Religions, which will be in Chicago on August 13th to the 18th. And we have 27, I think, workshops during that time period. We have our big banquet. This is the third time that we've had a big event like this at the Parliament. And part of what we do is during that time is to give out the Karen Armstrong Humanitarian Awards. So each year, this will be the 6th time that we've done it. We've recognized the work of people who are committed to compassion. For example, Mary Robinson last year was one of our recipients. For people from the US, Krista Tippett, who's well known as a kind of independent broadcasting person who has a series called On Being. And we've had people that we've given awards to from Burundi, like Dio Gracias, from Israel, Palestine, the Family Circle, the September 11th families for Peaceful Tomorrows, and a lot more individuals. And we have, again, this year, you'll be able to read about it in our newsletter. Each week we unveil or reveal a new person who will be getting the humanitarian awards. So that's kept us on our heels to do work. So Compassionate USA, the Parliament of World Religions, the launching of a new website, all of those are on our table right now. So again, I can stop and just see if anyone has any questions. Okay, if not, I'll subject you to a little bit more of our new website in hopes that maybe that'll let me move out of this, and maybe this will be our homepage, which is on a revolving carousel that will just kind of hopefully invite people into the charter with looking at what's going on with us. But one of the things that I believe that we are really much a connector of people, organizations, and so that's who we are. And here's a little bit about some of the things that we've already talked about, although there's 2 here that are really important to our work. The map of co-creators, and this is our gift, I hope, to any organization that wants to take it. You will give you the embedded code so that you could put the map of co-creators on your own website. It could look like it's yours. And the idea is that we find people through the map of co-creators who have very similar passions like our own. And I'm not sure. I hope this is connected. If not, I'd have to go to our old website and just see. But it's an opportunity, and we started this in September of last year. And Merida, well, I'm just kind of walking through this, maybe because I fear it's not connected yet. But so maybe you can pull it up and let me know when you're ready, so that you can show it. But the idea is you go in and you list yourself. We did almost a year's worth of testing on it.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'll stop sharing. It's pretty full. We hope it's 100% safe. And go ahead. Whenever you open the map, you open it in your own language, in the map of your own languages, and it opens to the place where you are in the world. And then it invites you to register. And right now we have the registration in the languages that just popped up. And if you could click on register, you register your name. And what we definitely need from you is, some people register without their name, but we need an email address, we need the country, and we desperately need the postal code, because postal codes are not necessarily unique to one country in the world. So that's why we need your country and your postal code, so that the pin can go on the map. And then, what is your primary area of interest? And we ask that you choose only one, but there are breakdowns within each of the primary areas of interest. And then for your secondary areas of interest, you can choose as many as you like. But the uniqueness of this map is the filter. So if you, Merida, could go to the filter, and so that you could say, okay, I have a brand new project. I'd like to get others involved. I'd like to get people involved in Europe or in the UK. And so, I'm going to filter that and see who, out of all of these pinpoints around the world, who might be in an area where I want to contact people. So it could be questions, it could be a new project that you're doing, it could be just trying to find people who have the same interest in the world. There, a couple months ago, there's an interesting story. We were on Canadians for Compassion. We asked for a volunteer so that we could do a pinpoint for his interest, which was palliative care. We filled it out, his registration, and you can zero down on this map to the street on which you live. And ironically, on the street in which he lived, there was another person who was in palliative care. And so he was able to send a message. So let's say you select one person. Any person will do. Okay, Susan Kagan, and she's up in Canada. And when you select a person, you can see at the top, you can send an invitation to that person. And you can, just tell them that you want to meet up with them, you want their advice, you're doing a project, any number of things that you're interested in doing. So, for example, I mentioned the people in Leeds are pulling together a festival for next year. So they can come to this map of co-creators, and they can choose people in the area of Leeds and invite them to the festival and let them know that it's happening. So I think a number of organizations have taken this and put it up, and it all goes to one central map. When we get
You can copy. There's two ways. One is to actually just copy the link and have it linked into your own page. Like, for example, with that image there, you can write to me. I can actually send you a little pin you can add to your website, but you can download this image and link it directly to the map of co-creators. That's one way around it.
So
And the other is the embedding, which can also work. So trying to get out of here now.
Oh, okay. If you just, can you?
I found it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So that that has been really something that we desperately want to promote and to share, so that people who are in the same area of interest can make connections with one another. And then there's a second part to that, and that is we have something called the Grassroots Wisdom Book. And this time I can partially share from the new website what it looks like. Okay, it was right next to. So the idea behind the Grassroots Wisdom Book is for people to tell stories, the stories that have been actualized in their work. And so the charter itself works from 12 sectors, from building compassionate cities to the arts and business and education, environment, etc. And what we want is for people to share good things that have happened with their organization, or stories that they know about. They're just very short stories. Let me see if I think this one is connected. For example, I just clicked on the arts and it's not, the whole thing is not there yet. But you know, I can share a couple ways that this could be used. I mean, we want people not only to tell their stories, for others to applaud what they've done, but for other organizations, compassionate cities, individuals, to take some of the things that have happened and replicate them in their own area. So, you know, whether it's a story of a small village in India putting together its own museum in shoeboxes, or if it is the story of a woman in Nelsonville, Ohio, who recognizes, and this was right before the pandemic, that kids in Nelsonville, a small community of under 3,000, were on the streets, not necessarily eating dinner with their families, and she decided that she would have a dinner and invite 12 kids to come and cook with her and then share a meal. Well, it has become a tradition. 12 kids went to like 30 kids the next week. And then after a couple months, kids were saying, can I bring my parents? And then it kept going and going and going. Nelsonville, 3,000 people. And now on a regular basis, almost 300 people a week come together and have Thursday night dinners. And it's been kind of interesting to see the evolution where, you know, people invited the local county sheriff to ask questions during the mealtime. They found that the whole community loved to sing together. Another thing that happened in the county was that voting booths were, or voting places were moved pretty far out. And so what the people of this Thursday night dinner did was to invite people who made the decision of moving the voting to another place, and after dinner invited them to a walk. And the walk was from Nelsonville to the place where people would have to go to vote, to let them know the distance and how it was almost impossible for everyone to be able to get there and to vote. And even the governor learned about this and has come a couple times. And you can imagine when people who are in elected positions come, there's going to be a lot of sharing and asking of questions. So the idea behind the Wisdom Book is just to share some wonderful ideas from your community so that others could replicate them. So that is part of the Wisdom Book. I'm going to go back and then I'm going to stop, but I'm going to go back to the homepage. And just besides saying what we do in terms of connecting people, we do through the connection also try very hard to look at ways that we can help. How is it that we can lean on Kim's work with the Golden Rule and maybe collaborate so that we can share that information, possibly webinars, whatever it might be, and almost any work that people are doing who are part of the charter. And so, our new tagline is connecting those who care. And so besides connecting, what hope can we give? What tools can we give? The other thing that I think is important about this new approach to our website is that, how do we do this? And the way that I think we're desperately trying to do this, and it's taking a lot of time, and this is part of the whole reorganization piece, is that this website is a landing pad, and that we want it to be a Wikipedia of the compassion movement. And so as we look at what we do, it's important for us in our sector work to say, okay, let's look at education for a minute. And so this is the part of the encyclopedia of compassion. And what we try and do with each sector is to say, okay, how does this sector, which is education in this case, relate to compassion? What are the kinds of actions that can occur within a community around education and compassion? What are some organizations that we have direct tie to? Like we have a very strong tie to UNESCO, Mahatma Gandhi Institute for Education and Peace. And so, that is explained there. But because we also are geared towards looking and working with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, we're trying to incorporate that in each of our sectors. And then to let people know what are some incredible programs that are out there that maybe we don't know about, but maybe we could learn a little bit more and invite those communities or their efforts into what we're doing. We do have a children's charter and we want people to know about it. It's for young kids. Ways of joining our education community. We have a monthly education forum, again, to introduce our community to what's happening in education. It's the third Thursday of each month. We have a bulletin, a quarterly bulletin that people can just take advantage of. We promote school publications, and I'll just click on this so that you can see that we have, this is our Compassionate California, who's put together a wonderful program on Compassion Counts. And it's being paid for in many areas of California by local communities. These are just publications that have been produced by compassionate communities. This one is from Australia, from Ballarat. My Act of Heart is really an anthology of young people's writings. In fact, we had a global read on Saturday with the kids, some of the kids, 4 or 5 of the kids, they contributed to that journal. And then we have from New York, one of our partners, the New 3 Rs. So that's the way that the new website will be to really try and help people, if their interest, for example, is in areas of education or in like for the interfaith movement, what's happening from the charter's perspective, but then also from our partners' perspective. And I didn't show you the sidebar for each of the sectors, but there's current work so that people can click there and find out exactly what they could get involved in. Okay, I've talked enough, so now it's your turn.
Marilyn, has the charter at all been in contact with Citizens UK? Have you heard of Citizens UK?
You know, I'm wondering if we had someone a couple meetings ago from Citizens UK. But tell us more.
Well, one of the other hats I've got is I'm a representative for Citizens Somerset. So
Okay.
Citizens UK is organised into counties, and they focus on compassionate change by empowering community. And they gather together people who've got challenge in their lives. I mean, down in Somerset, we're looking at homelessness, we're looking at safety on the streets, we're looking at minimum wage, and also travel and transport. And what they do is they gather stories together of people that have had challenges in those areas, and then they identify people in power positions within the police and the council, and they meet with them and try and get change made, introduced. Basically, that's what they do. Strikes me there's quite an overlap here. And
Yeah. Is there a way that you might be able to send us information and we can make a contact?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely.
You also remind me of someone who's normally here, but I think she's on vacation right now, is our friend from, is it Plymouth or Portsmouth? And she's doing a lot with transportation as well in the community.
Okay. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. I think the other thing is that, and I know that she's very busy, but we've been working really closely with Jennifer Nadel, who is the founder of Compassion in Politics, and she's in London, and she's getting very much more involved in international politics as well. As I said, she's a wonderful individual. She's also part of the new Global Compassion Coalition, which was started by Rick Hansen. So I think also I'd love to bring her in, Andy, with a conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah.
And one of the things that happened for me in the beginning of June was I was invited again to the Spirit of Humanity in Iceland. And there were 3 or 4 representatives from the UK there. And some people who we knew, like Wendy Elliott, who often drops in here to this conversation. But Wendy Elliott is very much a kind of networker. In the UK. She always says that it's her job to introduce people to each other. And I found that, she made lots of introductions for me to the other people from not only the UK, but other places as well. And there were a few other people who were interested from the UK who were very prominent in the new global economics. And so we have agreed that once September comes, we're all going to come together again and talk about what we might be able to do in that arena. And Kim, I just want to tell you, we're still very much involved in Golden Rule, and have been doing a lot with youth programs, and you'll see that when the website launches.
Yeah, I saw a reference to Golden Ruleism, so
Yes.
I look forward to looking more deeply into that.
Yeah.
I've got to go in a few minutes.
Yeah, we all do.
Really great to connect with you, meet all of you as well, and yeah, maybe we can find. I made a list of some things here that we could possibly talk to you more about.
Okay, let's set up a webinar in the same. Andy, I know Merida is committed to getting back in touch, and Helen, we need to make those contacts in Cornwall, and especially with Julian Abel. and because I have a feeling you have a lot in common. And I'm trying to remember the small community that he wrote Compassionate Communities about, and I am spacing on it. But and we need to make more of a connection with Chile. So Merida, I'm guessing that's in your hands at this point.
Yeah.
And Quebec, we hope that we'll be able to continue to have you come and maybe share some ideas with us.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just glad to be popping in and connect with you. It's sort of my first contact. I just happen to be in the streets, you know, as this session is happening.
I
So
can-
that's why I have my camera off and
Right.
yeah, the mic off. So
Well, thank you all for coming, and hopefully the next time, which is usually 5 weeks or so, between sessions, that you'll pop in again. Thanks.
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
I'll be sending out the
Thank you.
invitation later, but I'll also send out the recording for this together with all the links that I shared so that you'll have that, and I'll contact you personally if there was anything that we needed. Okay,
Great.
to touch base on.
Thanks so
Okay.
much, Meredith.
thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's
Bye.
nice to see you all. Bye.
Bye.